Today, I'm here in Tokyo, Japan, getting ready to get kicked off on my 2-week adventure across Japan. With that, you guys are wondering how much it'll cost. So, in this video, I'll cover how much I spent in every category. With that, let's dive right in. Alright, let's talk about flights. I paid $1,150 for my round-trip flight, which was a direct flight from Chicago to Narita with ANA. However, you can easily find sub-$1,000 flights during the off-season, if you book far enough in advance, or if you're just flexible with your dates. Better yet, if you're one of the lucky few that lives in the West Coast, you have access to budget airlines such as Zip Air, where I have seen round-trip flights as low as $500. Just a few things to bring up: no checked bags are included, there's no complimentary meal service, and some don't even have in-flight entertainment. But if you're willing to rough it out, this might just be the option for you. Alright, let's get into the next category. This is going to be a fun one. We're talking capsule hotels, apartments, entire houses, regular hotels, and even a Buddhist temple. There's so many different types of accommodations, and staying in these was just as fun as the trip itself. Be sure to check out my other video where I compare the cheapest $20 capsule hotel all the way through to the most expensive and insane $300 Buddhist temple deep in the mountains of Kyoto Prefecture. You don't want to miss it. But back to it, in total, I spent around $850 for 16 nights, making it only $53 on average per night. I highly recommend traveling together if you can, since it allows you to book much cooler places and then split the cost 2 ways. Otherwise, if you're going solo, I'd recommend going for hostels and capsule hotels instead. You'll still be staying in really sweet places, but at a fraction of the cost. Let's talk activities. When you visit Japan, there are endless options for things to do. In this trip, I visited both Team Labs, drove go-karts around Tokyo, hit up multiple observation decks including Tokyo Tower and Shibuya Sky, did the Fuji Flower Festival, and did countless temples found in every city of Japan. In total, we spent $353 per person for all these activities, which honestly I'd consider a bargain compared to the other categories of this trip. There's so many free places you can visit. In fact, many of the cities and towns themselves are attractions. So the only thing you end up paying for is the transport to get there. Heck, even half the temples and shrines are totally free, while the other half usually don't end up costing anything over $3. Other great examples: visiting the town next to Mount Fuji, free; going to the beach, free; exploring the island of Miyajima, free, except for the $1.30 it takes to take the ferry over; walking around Nara and seeing the deer is also free. You can find so much in Japan, and it doesn't have to break the bank. The options are limitless. Man, the food was out of this world. My trip was never focused on food from the beginning, not realizing how fun and exciting each meal would turn out to be. Every day was a new dish, new restaurant, heck, even just a new crazy drink from a vending machine. Here's a quick list of all the foods I had on my list, which I managed to try in Japan. But this probably doesn't include half the other things I only found out about when I was there. In total, I spent $325 on food, making it come out to $20 a day. I wouldn't say that's either really cheap or expensive, but being on vacation, I think you could easily have spent far more than that. A few other comments to add. I think for one, as goofy as it sounds, I swear at least a fifth of my entire food budget was probably just spent on those crazy vending machine drinks. It almost became a mission to try every single soda, coffee, tea, or wacky flavored substance we could find. In fact, you know it's going to be a good vending machine when it's in some random back alley and it only accepts coins. Other big ticket items that we spent money on was Wagyu steak, eating at a highly rated Katsukura restaurant, and even hitting up the May Dreaming Cafe, which I guess you could argue fits more into the experience category than food, but whatever. For those of you interested in creating a list, I highly recommend using the Trash Taste Tokyo Guidebook, where you can find a fantastic list of Japanese foods along with their descriptions, including popular chains where there's recommendations and commentary about them, and even a location guide for each neighborhood of Tokyo. I combined a lot of this information with Reddit posts to craft a pretty decent list, but you can easily do a lot more. And all I can say is next time I'm back in Japan, I will spend a bigger portion of my itinerary on food travel instead of just making it an afterthought. And now we have finally made it to our last and final category, transportation. In this category, I've included the cost of every bus, train, taxi, Shinkansen, ferry, ropeway, and both special discount passes and rail passes. In total, this costs $614 per person for the 2 weeks, making it $38 per day. The Shinkansen was by far the most expensive contributor to the total, being that the Japan Rail Pass is no longer worth it after the recent price hike. This means that the trip from Tokyo to Kyoto has to be paid out of pocket $85 each way. However, if you want to go past Kyoto, a great substitution for the Osaka to Hiroshima portion is using the JR West Kansai Hiroshima Area Pass, which not only immediately saves $18 from the Shinkansen trip, but then gives you unlimited access to JR trains west of Kyoto for the next 5 days. So, from then on, it is up to you on how much you want to get out of this pass. In our case, we easily squeezed out another free $60 of trains, but you can do so much more. Another note, this pass even lets you use the fastest Shinkansen, the Nozomi, whereas even the Japan Rail Pass doesn't. And I'll drop in this last comment as well. Don't use taxis. They are so expensive, so unless you absolutely have to, do not. This one 13-minute trip costed us $30. That's like $2 a minute. Insane. All right, here we are. The final cost, 16 days in Japan with flights, came out to $3,300 per person. If you take away flights, it works out to $134 per day in Japan. So, what can you take away from that? Well, considering Google's estimate, it seems to be a pretty average total, neither high nor low. But you really can't define what average is. Everyone's trip is going to be different, along with thousands of factors that affect the cost. Hell, compared to a few Reddit posts, you'd either think we're living on the streets at our price point, while other posts make it feel like we're way overspending. So that just goes to show everyone has a different price point of what they consider average in mind. The hard truth is, if you want to do experiences that you want to do, you're going to have to pay. However, by no means do you have to go broke. Prioritize what you want to do, take public transit, eat at normal restaurants, and be willing to make sacrifices. In the end of the day, you can still come out with a killer trip that you'll remember forever without spending too much. For those of you interested, I have attached a link to my full itinerary completely for free. On it, you can find the full budget breakdown, a list of foods and where you can find them, a critical deadline list, and additional documents I compiled during my research. With that, you can even access my Google Maps I created with the hundreds of locations I visited in those 2 weeks. Essentially, this is a ready-to-go map that you can use today in order to navigate your way around Japan with no work needed. If you want to learn more about ways to save money in Japan, be sure to check out my other video, where I go into the details with tips and tricks that you can use to save money and travel smarter. This includes everything from using travel credit cards, different types of rail passes, or the way to find the cheapest plane tickets and hotels. Even things like which months are the best or worst to travel to Japan, and so much more. Anyways guys, looks like that brings us to the end of the video. Thanks for those of you who stuck around to the end. Hopefully this video provided something useful to you. I'll be making more videos about Japan in the future, so subscribe if you're interested. And without further ado, thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.